All right, it is currently 3:52 p.m. and I'm going to cover a couple things at one time because I have established my case against the state of California. And so what I'm going to continue to do is capture the light source that's over me at the beginning of the day. And as I capture that light source at a latter part of the day, that is documentation establishing what is impossible, that the sun would still be at a position where it's over my head while I'm at the same address. And that's what I will continue to document, in addition to what is the ongoing threat that the entity is engaging in while it's stalking and using helicopters. I will continue to document that. The entity is also maintaining. So this is what I want to document now. I'm speaking to. This is going to cover more than one. Yesterday, I documented. We juxtaposed, in other words, the documentation of where was the light source at 4:05 p.m. on May 11, 2022, at the same time, and I used 4:05 p.m. And I did a broad tutorial on that, and even gave you an up close, personal view of what is the federal prosecution of the people of the state acting via UPS. Okay, well, you're looking at the light source over the same apartment building at 11:50 in the morning, and then when you're looking at it over that same apartment building at 4:45 in the afternoon, that's not the sun, nor is it ever going to be sunlight that's appearing above your head like I'm capturing inside of my apartment here. In the light source that's above my head while I'm looking outside of my bedroom window in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6 on the 3rd floor, that's facing in the west direction, facing Alvarado Street, the same location where the entity is engaging in what is a documented sunset, which is under no circumstances is the natural environment where I'm showing the light source as a matter of documentation from 6:45 in the morning. I'm capturing a so-called sunrise. Excuse me, I said sunset. I mean sunrise, which is never going to be the case that the sun is going, or any of, this is not even sunlight, but we're just going to entertain the illusion that the sun nor the sunlight that you're looking in here is going to be the product of the natural environment. If the sun is present at any time ever, the duration of time 6:45, which is already documented, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, that would be 9 hours, suggesting that the sun is ever under any circumstances, whether you cover up that light source at the first half of the day and then unveil it at the second half of the day, there is no getting out of that documented criminal pattern of conduct. And then you have what is the juxtaposition of the maintenance of that light source in an entirely different region, and that's what I captured yesterday at 4:05 p.m. I continue to document that, and on May 12, 2024, I'm at the Chino Branch Library in Chino, California, which is, again, another government building. It's San Bernardino County. It's a public library. It's a state facilitating venue that is indeed engaged in criminal surveillance in concert with the people of the state, that also utilize minor children and also engage in what is harassment while you are documenting that criminal system that's unmistakably captured as underway. And why is that? Because the sun's not going to be over my head, visible through the window of the Chino Branch Library at the same time. Which is while it's remaining over my apartment for the duration of the day, first of all, and even down to the same minute, which is also what I'm capturing. This is my location at the Chino Branch Library in Chino, California, and this is on May 12, 2022, and this is at 3:38 p.m. And so before I show you that, I just captured video right now where you will see the light source that's outside of my bedroom window right now, replete with what is this impossible light activity, which is directed light that's on my ceiling, and then also on the floor, showing the magnification of light through what are closed blinds. The blinds are closed in an upward position. Not that that matters, because sunlight is not so concentrated that it's going to appear magnified in size, showing the leaves blowing through the wind through closed blinds inside of your apartment. In addition to that, the fact that you're in the same address where the sunset is occurring at the on the east side. This is literally the ridiculousness and the asininity that the demon-possessed entity are engaging in the criminal system. And it's required in order for them to engage in what is their criminal system. This is exhibiting obsession in the face of what is clearly impossible. So at the exposure of that, even at the exposure of your condition that you are manifestly exposed as, you're a demon, you are indeed a demon-possessed person, hence an entity, because that demon's not acting by themselves. That demon-possessed agency using helicopters is not acting by themselves. That demon that's flying that helicopter is not the only one in that department. This is indicative of what's wrong with the Los Angeles Police Department. It's indicative of what's wrong with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. And what's wrong with them is legally relevant. The fact that you have demons operating over people is showing not only what is a public safety concern, as you have witnessed the physical violence that they're engaging in, as you've witnessed the demented behavior, the psychotic behavioral pattern, the criminal conduct, the malice with which they act. That malice is also exhibited while they are masquerading as those having legal jurisdiction, which they know they do not. That's why this criminal system is maintained as a secret, and it's supposed to be maintained as a secret. Upon exposure of all of that, you're witnessing what is very disturbing and directly relevant to public safety, and that is the fact that they're demon possessed. And that is also exhibited through the light activity and the pattern of conduct. So this is engineered light. I captured this video at 3:43 p.m. and that's why I'm showing you this one. This is the light source that's outside of my window. The condition of those that are keeping you under surveillance, which is a whole That's other, today, May 12th. That's the light source that's over my head. Nor is it the explanation for what is the shadow of these trees that are dynamic, moving in the magnified light on my bedroom wall. That's all impossible light activity. What you're looking at here, this okay, so is what, and I'm referencing this. While the blinds are closed, that and the movement is. This is dynamic light. This light is dynamic, and the leaves are moving in the magnification of light that's appearing while the blinds are closed, and the light source, which is supposedly the sun that's above a building, is never even going to engage in this trajectory of light in a horizontal manner through the window, appearing both beneath you and above you. While beneath you, it's creating magnification, creating the shape of the holes in the blind slats, and then above, it's creating the whole pattern of the blinds. All of this is impossible light activity, never naturally occurring, indicative and exposing what is the condition of those that are stalking in the specific environment. That engineered light is there because group stalking is underway. Okay. And those that are engaged in group stalking, which is the state, a public entity is group stalking, as opposed to some freak weirdo cult. It's the state. The government is group stalking. It's a government system. The entity is doing that in concert with the people of the state, and it's occurring maliciously under the guise of the natural environment, which speaks to a massive system of criminal surveillance. It's criminal in the U.S. because of the documentation, which is, the documentation that proves it, but I mean the document that is the U.S. Constitution. The government in the U.S. does not have any legal basis to keep an American citizen under surveillance, absent any warrant or probable cause. You're engaging in what is the corporate invasion of privacy, just like any other freak weirdo that would be documented as stalking somebody while you're in the bathroom, while you're physically indisposed, and they're engaging in what is criminal and surveilling conduct. That stalker would be prosecuted as a sex offense, and that stalker's mindset, their mental instability would immediately be brought into the controversy regarding that prosecution. It's not going to change with the government because the government is the sex offender here. The government is the stalker here. And so that's what I was speaking to. This is captured today, May 12th, 2024 at 3:43 p.m. Okay, this is relevant to what's occurring at the same time. Again, and the point of this is to show that that's not occurring at the same time. That's not the natural environment, especially on this day, on May 12th, where I'm again at this library in the morning and I remain there and the light source is staying there all day. The sun is not, again, some maintaining ubiquitous presence over everyone all day, no matter where you're going, and for the duration of the day. The sun is a gaseous ball of fire, by the way, which is not supposed to be some hunkered down, hovering light source that's right above your head, right above the building. If it's some gaseous ball of fire, it should be setting everything on fire then. But that's not what's happening. And it's also not indicative of the natural environment. What you're looking outside of this is the light source that's directly out the window above my head at the Chino Branch Library. This is not over anybody in the state of Florida. Okay. And while it's outside directly in this direction over my head, while I'm out on this day at this time at the Chino Branch Library, it is not visible outside of the bedroom window facing the west direction, facing Alvarado of what is 1806 North Alvarado Street. I'm specifically inside a building, apartment number 6. Okay. That's the pattern of stalking with the light source. Not only are you looking at the light sources at both locations, even down to the same time, even down to the same day, okay, 2 years prior, but you're also looking at what is not only the impossible light activity that coexists with this light source, but the light source happens to engage in a pattern of being right over my head in the zenith position at the same time in 2 different regions, down to even the same day, okay, as I documented it. That's impossible. It's called stalking with light. The other indicators of stalking with light is the impossible light activity, meaning the directed light, this engineered light that covers the surfaces like you see inside of my bedroom on the ceiling, like you see inside of my bedroom on the bedroom walls, okay? And this impossible light activity is nothing other than a reference to the demonic. So I'm not going to do a very long verbose video. I just wanted to give this documentation as to what the LAPD is doing. They're still engaged in group stalking. They're doing so on an ongoing basis. I'm not going out of my door and capturing video of them or looking out my window, capturing video of these demons that are already there. The LAPD's, they're literally on a timeline. It's a ticking timeline until they're going to be literally like, I'll just say their time is limited And so these are psychopaths, these are demons, and unfortunately, they are literally subservient to the demonic, and their criminal conduct they have in every way exhibited that they have every, as defeated as it is, and so they're just going dizzy, flying over my apartment. This is what they are satisfied with because it's not even accomplishing their purpose anymore. Let me be clear, not only is it criminal to engage in this criminal pattern of conduct, and I'm going to enforce my rights in the federal tribunal, all right, but the purpose of group stalking an American citizen is to make them want to take their own life. It's to make them hate their existence, the bane of their existence. It's to make them question their own mental sanity. It's to make them hate people and every human being. It's to make them hate their own existence. It's to have that affect on the target individual. It's to psychologically and emotionally torment and cause distress. And I'm going to recover for all of the above. My ability to articulate what the entity is doing, to stand up and contest and enforce my rights, to literally speak on behalf of the ordinary targeted individual who is under all reasonable circumstances affected in all of the aforementioned ways, does not in any way remove me from recovery for all of the above, just because my ability to stand up to it and speak to it. That doesn't mean that I'm not entitled to those treble damages, to those immeasurable amounts of damages, which the state of California and every third party group stalker that I documented by company name, okay, they're all going to be subject to prosecution civilly and criminally. Okay, but I want to be clear, when you're documenting engaging in that and all you're doing is going dizzy, flying over my apartment in a helicopter just for your own demonic fun because you serve Satan, I'm not going to waste my time capturing 27 videos of the fact that they're an established stalker and a sex offender. That's exactly what the Los Angeles Police Department is. And by virtue of this prosecution of the state of California, it's going down on the record. The state of California is a sex offender. Literally, by what they're engaging in. And this is exactly how shameful this state is going to make, literally on the world scene as well. This is what they brought the government, the state of California to. The state of California is going down because that's exactly what they're doing. And that's exactly how you're going to be prosecuted. All right. And even down to company names, even down to individual names. Okay. So the entity is engaged in that ongoing stalking. And they're doing so, as I've shown, well, I will show here. The entity is maintaining ongoing, I just make my little notes, 10:30 in the morning, 11:20, 11:45, 12:30 p.m., 1:15 p.m., 2:25 p.m., 3:05 p.m. The entity is just maintaining helicopter activity. Remember, all they're doing is maintaining audible activity via helicopter, while the entity is maintaining the specific environment inside of my apartment. Okay, stalking with engineered light inside of my apartment, light source over my apartment, in every way, stalker. Okay, and a blatant admission of the fact that you're group stalking, and this is going to be recognized worldwide. How you can look at what are the ongoing highlights, the hallmarks of what is group stalking, and this is underway by a corrupt government. It's not just some cult that's next door. It's not some den of demons where they're worshiping Satan. Yes, LAPD, they are subservient to Satan. They're demon possessed, but this is indicative of government action. Okay. So I want to make sure that I point that out. I'm not going to capture 27 videos. I've already established them as engaged in criminal stalking. So on this day at 3:38 p.m., I'm at the Chino Branch Library. This is the light source that's hovering over my head in the same manner that it is hovering over my head as I'm documenting here as I remain at inside of my apartment home. And this is impossible light activity. There, I have multiple shadows. This is my shadow as I step in front of my window in front of the closed blinds. And then I open the blinds and the light source is directly over my head. And that's speaking to, this is the impossible maintenance of the light source. And as I showed you yesterday, while UPS was group stalking on video, and I'm glad they gave it to me. If you want to be made an example out of, be my guest. So I'm documenting UPS group stalking while this light source is over the same apartment building at 11:50 in the morning. That's the pattern of conduct right there. The sun is not maintaining, while you're looking at it here, this is not the same light source, the sun that's over somebody in Texas at 5, I believe Texas is 2 hours ahead of us, at 5:43 in the afternoon. That's not the same sun. This is a light source that's being maintained over me. This is making manifest, this is revealing the reality of a demonic environment, of the demonic imitation of the natural environment, demonic activity, and it's also exhibited through this unnatural light that surrounds me. Okay. And then you're understanding what is literally the unnatural behavior of those. These are demons that are group stalking. And they're also engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. So at the Chino Branch Library in Chino, California on this day, I'm inside of the Chino Branch Library capturing impossible light activity and the maintenance of a light source, which is not shared with the address of 1806 North Alvarado in Los Angeles, where the entity is rising and setting a so-called sun. And I even want to show you what I also captured, what I also want to remind you of. You have the people of the state that are delivering the news and telling you about the newscasts when they're talking about the weather. All right. And this is what I captured talking about the sun, even the sunrise at 5:50. Hold on. 5:50. This is the sunrise at 5:53 in the morning and the sunset at 7:46 in the evening. I want to be clear, what I'm documenting is a sunrise and a sunset at one address. Okay, I just want to speak to this is the maintenance of it's scientifically impossible. And I also want to speak to what the entity is. It seems as though this is like a suggestion that this is what you're going to witness all day long. The sun is not maintaining omnipresence over everyone everywhere. The sun is in constant movement, and the sun is not maintaining presence, for example, over your house all day, non-moving. So it's rising on the east and setting on the west of your house. That's not the sun. That's the specific environment. And this is revealing that. And so I just wanted to point this out as well. This so-called sunrise and sunset, my documentation is showing even beyond Los Angeles, this pattern of what's impossible, the sunrise and the sunset at one address where I have remained, and I've documented it. I've documented it at the same address. So I can go to the same address. I'll go early in the morning and capture the sunrise. I can go to that same address the next week because this is under the guise of what's supposed to be the natural environment. So it's going to be substantially similar. And when I go to that same address in the evening, that's the same address where the sunset is present. That's not the natural environment. The sun is not rising and setting here in Southern California. And while it's setting setting in Southern California, it's not visible somewhere in some other state, such as Texas or in New York or in Nevada. It's not visible and maintaining perfect alignment with me while doing so. Okay, like everybody is the center of the universe. If you don't want to accept the notion of the targeted individual, okay, then you're talking about we have to logically reason through this together because none of it makes sense. It's scientifically impossible. Okay, so you're understanding what is the inevitable conclusion that it is entirely impossible. And this is what's being told about the weather. That the weather in Los Angeles, and that this is when and by the way, as I've also shown you, literally the so-called weather changes, and this is why meteorologists are so quote unquote it's incalculable, imprecise. That's not because weather is so random. It's because there's an ongoing real-time control of the environment, and it's demonic. All right. So I just want to let you know that as well. I have literally captured the light source. And what have I shown you? The ongoing pattern. The more I hone in on that light source, the demonic is literally witnessing in real time and have engaged in covering up that light source that remains over me. Okay. Channel 5 News, are they reporting on the light source that's remaining over my apartment, rising and setting? I guarantee you that's not what they're talking about. Nobody, the entity is not acknowledging that. And nobody's going to concede the fact that the sun is remaining in alignment to my apartment, because that's exactly what my documentation establishes. All right. So I just want to make sure, I would just want to include that as well. But with regard to the Chino Branch Library today in 2022, at the same time, the light source is remaining over me at the Chino Branch Library, which is San Bernardino County. This is another government venue, a state facilitating venue. And this is the state of California documented engaged in what are the hallmarks of group stalking. And they also engaged in criminal summoning. Okay. So you're talking about the employees that engaged in that going to federal prison. This is the intolerable criminal conduct to kidnap, to harass, to terrorize an American citizen whom the entity is placing under surveillance. Now, I want to be clear. I am not some lawless, tactless, unprofessional, loudmouth criminal going around breaking all the laws everywhere. Okay, I'm also not tactless in capturing my documentation. The entity that is monitoring my documentation is hostile to the fact that they are being exposed, that they don't like the fact that you're being documented as a stalker and a sex offender. That's not my problem. That's not the targeted individual's problem. The government that's violating your rights likes to engage in kidnapping you and making up information while they're doing it. Not only are you making up information because it's false about the target individual, you're making up information while you are group stalking. That's ongoing criminal conduct by the state, who also engaged in this. That's the Chino Police Department that engaged in documented criminal summoning. And this is also harassment by the entity that's engaged in federal group stalking monitoring, where you're looking at the hallmark. That's not the sun over my apartment in LA. That's not sunlight on the ceiling inside of my bedroom in LA. The sunlight that you see inside of my bedroom in LA is not going to result from this light source that's hovering outside over my head at the same time at the Chino Branch Library. This is the pattern of conduct that was indeed underway at the San Bernardino County Library, which is the Chino Branch Library, where I'm documenting the pattern of conduct, which is identified through the the specific environment, not the natural environment. This is what I captured.
All right. This is the placement of the light source. This is very exclusive placement of the light source in order to suggest that this is both the sun and that is also sunlight. Because at the same time, at 3:37 p.m., where I'm standing outside of the San Bernardino County office, the Human Services Department at 1647 Hope Boulevard, where the entity is keeping the fake sun right there over that building, which is the same.
And I'm referencing another state facilitating venue, the San Bernardino County Health Services Department or Human Services Department. That's the TAD office at 1627 Hope Boulevard. That's San Bernardino County. That's the state of California. That's group stalking. They're heavily documented group stalking, including flying over me by helicopter while the light source is over my head. Mutually exclusive to the sunrise and sunset that's documented here while I live in LA, and the entity's maintaining the light source. That's the hallmark, and that's the documentation that I'm referencing right now. Also, not going to be visible outside of my bedroom window in LA, not creating any sunlight above my head, creating the pattern of the blinds on my ceiling, not creating any engineered light through the closed blinds while it's over the TAD office and over the Chino Branch Library, none of which is occurring at the same time, maintaining that same zenith position, creating any of that light activity. It's the pattern of conduct.
Location in Ontario, where I remained at the county building, and then I got on Route 61, and I went to the intersection of San Antonio and Hope Boulevard. The entity is keeping the. And in addition to that, what I want to document is an entity engaging in what is terrorism.
This is impossible light activity. This is the inward trajectory of directed light that's creating the pattern of there's like a wooded there's like a covering over the entrance doors, and it's like a wooden like stripe pattern and whatnot. The trajectory of the light is at an inward angle to aim that light into the depths of a building. Impossible light. Impossible light. The sun that's above us is shooting sunlight down at a downward trajectory, not reaching underneath, doing gymnastics with this engineered light, like you see also inside of my office, okay, reaching underneath the covered structure and then underneath into a doorway to touch on the floor inside into the depths of that office. And then you have, again, what you're looking at in my apartment, the sun that's above us is aiming light at a downward trajectory, not reaching underneath the covering of above my window, which would create what is shade, and also meaning no direct sunlight's going to be aimed inside, literally onto the bedroom walls, and then reaching into the depths. As you've seen it even behind my headboard and under my bed, and then ricocheting off of mirrors to touch this bedroom wall. You've seen all of that. It's entirely demonic. It's impossible light activity, and this is what's inside of the San Bernardino County Chino Branch Library. These are the marks. This engineer light is the hallmark of the prima facie case.
That's impossible light. That's the pattern of this patio that's appearing on the inside. Understand how that's light that's being pushed.
So that's light that's at an angle to reach into the building through the doors. And that creates light activity while demons are systematically pacing in and out, serving for what is monitoring in concert with the state that is group stalking through these corrupt law enforcement agencies. It's an ongoing system.
Okay. That's not sunlight. And you have what is the maintenance of the light source that's right here over my head. Okay, so the entity amplifying helicopter activity inside of the Chino Branch Library. This is
the light source that's over me while I'm at the Chino Branch Library, directly over my head, and you're looking at this light source that's hovering directly over my head while I'm looking outside of my bedroom window in Los Angeles, California. That's capturing the pattern of conduct. And you're also going to pay attention. There's something also. It's every direction that I move. While I was looking outside of the window, the light source is over my head. So in order for me to get out the door and capture it, the light source moves to whatever side that I move, if you pay attention to that. As I'm looking out the window, it's remaining in alignment with me. As I go back out toward the entry doors, that light source remains in perfect alignment. That's literally what group stalking is. It's stalking in the path. The entity is doing it, and it's exhibited with regard to what the entity is doing through literally the light source. And this light source is an ongoing, literally, it's pointing at everyone with regard to they're all group stalking. That's literally what the light source is telling on them. The fact that they're group stalking. The center of the universe is identified as the targeted individual. That's where the sun rises and sun sets. That's where the moon is at night. That's where the ongoing maintenance of engineered light. That's where the amplification of audible activity is centered on. That's what the entity is doing. And literally this light source is the ongoing neon sign. The state is monitoring this person. That's what that serves as. But I want to pay attention. The entity is moving this light source literally as I go from the window to the entrance door, because if you'll pay attention, it's right over my head in the same position that it was when I was looking outside of the window. These are just details to pay attention to.
This is impossible to be.
All right, so the entrance door is to the side. When I go out to the entrance, it remains directly above me. This is what's going on when I'm on public transportation, and I'm showing you while I'm in any third party vehicle such as Tracy Banks or on Omnitrans third party group stalker. Same demon possession, by the way. It's just the people of the state acting via a different name. Omnitrans and Tracy Banks, same entity. Okay, different name, different identity, and same federal prosecution. Okay, same public corruption, same demon possession, different identifier, different driver of the bus. All right, same spirit, same demonic spirit. Okay, I want to show you though. This is the light source.
Stalker activity inside of the Chino Branch Library. This is.
All right, I just wanted to keep that right there so we could see it.
Okay. So the entity amplifying
it's
stalker activity inside of the Chino Branch Library.
There you go. I just wanted to see it. This is the light source that's hovering directly over my head at Chino Branch Library, and it's 4:18 p.m. This is where the light source remains, but I just want to show you this now. And this is where the light source remains here. So this is capturing, again, what is not seen over the Chino Branch entrance of the Chino Branch Library in Chino, California, while it's remaining over my head. And by the way, it's 4:18 p.m. So if you recall yesterday, at the Upland Public Library at 405 North Euclid Avenue in Upland, California, this is not only not over the roof of the Upland Public Library, seen through the window of the Upland Public Library. At the same time, it's also not over the entrance door in its zenith over my head at the same time at the Chino Branch Library in Chino, California, while maintaining this same zenith presence directly over my head while I'm inside of the same apartment where the alleged sunrise is documented as occurring and the sunset is occurring at 1806 North Alvarado Street. And that's capturing the state of California's criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring. This is how demons that are affiliated, these demons are in positions of government, acting in concert with the people of the state. That's crossing a path. That's the commission of a sex offense on behalf of the government as well. It's documented in impunity, and you're going to you're going to prosecute the people of the state. All 59 units are readily identifiable for engaging in that sex offense in concert with that entity who's monitoring with it every time they're crossing path. Amplifying audible activity while they're all monitoring together, and all 59 units are going to federal prison here for engaging in that. This is not over the Upland Public Library. It's also not over the Chino Branch entryway. Both of those venues independently are documented maintenance of that light source in the morning. So it makes no provision for any other, though. All of them are mutually exclusive. And under all circumstances, when you slice it down and analyze it individually, the sun is not going to be present at one address at 7:52 in the morning and then still there at that same address at 4:50 in the afternoon, which is what I captured on video yesterday. So I want to go ahead and show you because this is a lengthy video. So I captured video again. This is 3:38 p.m. This is the light source over me here in Chino, and this is the light source over me here in Los Angeles. That's the same zenith position. That's called stalking with light. This is impossible, and sunlight does not appear above your head while the sun is beaming down on you. Sunlight appearing above your head, creating any shadow, creating any engineered light, appearing and disappearing, nor can you through closed objects or shut objects have the magnification of any glowing light. See leaves on trees. So let me see. So see leaves on trees blowing through my blinds that are closed. It's magnification of light, and the leaves on these trees appearing on my bedroom wall at a downward trajectory. That's all demonic, and it's impossible. That's equally impossible. And the entity is maintaining this light source as I capture again at 4:05 p.m. And I juxtapose that directly with what I captured yesterday at the Upland Public Library on May 11, 2022. And again, yesterday I captured video at the same time, 4:06 p.m. And 2024 on the same day. None of this is probable with regard to demonic, with regard to what is the maintenance of the light source and engagement and what is the identifiable pattern of conduct. At 4:06 p.m., I'm inside of the Chino Branch Library. And what you're going to see here is the maintenance of engineered light while the demon-possessed are systematically monitoring, and you're looking at a method of targeting with impossible light that I'm looking at through the window. Because when you're driving in traffic, light, it does not create fireworks. It does not create a sparking light show while you're literally just driving in traffic with regard to what is whether you want to call that the light source or whether you want to unreasonably disregard all evidence and refer that, oh no, that's the sun. whatever side of the fence that you're on. But like, as I've stated, the evidence suggests, so there's no reasonable there's no reasonable basis to contend otherwise. Everything that I've contended is supported as what is under no circumstances the natural environment. And that's based on rudimentary understanding of the natural environment and what sunlight does and does not do. It does not appear above your head, creating the pattern of the blinds that are closed. And then also through the same blinds, under that same light source that's in the same position, create light both above you and beneath you in totally different methods. That's not the pattern of the blinds. You have what is magnification through the blinds and the leaves on the trees blowing through that magnified light. Okay, that's then moving all about my bed and then moving underneath my bed and into what's a supposed sunlight. And don't forget that at 5:20, the entity is supposed to have a sun that's visible outside of the Rancho Cucamonga Victoria Gardens parking garage. When you're looking at all that light activity, none of that is occurring at the same time. This is capturing what is stalking via light. And what's the purpose of stalking with directed light, this engineered light? It's for purposes of group stalking. And this is what's captured while the entity is stalking with a method of light activity while I'm sitting inside of the Chino Branch Library.
Show you this is the window where impossible light activity. See that flashing of light?
Looking like someone's taking photos.
This is speaking to specific knowledge. And this light activity, that's sparking, flashing of light, that's directed light, that's impossible light activity. And as I sit at this computer, the entity is touching my face with light, touching my person as I sit here. This is the iteration of the same exact demonic pattern, stalking with light, molestation with light, terrorism with light, while minions are monitoring the documentation. So the more infuriated Satan becomes, the more Satan engages in this touching with this flashing light, this accosting with light, and does it while group stalking is underway. That is group stalking. Those are demons stalking in the path. Maintaining presence in the environment, monitoring with community.
So this is what you're understanding, the mental illness of the demon possessed who are targeting you, keeping their back to you. You're looking at the engineered light above your head, the ceiling that's got your shadow above you. Okay. The engineered light that's above you, your shadow's appearing. You've got multiple shadows. Everybody's looking to the left and the right like they don't even know you're there. They're not focused on you. Nobody knows what's happening. It's all in the mind, but it's not all in your mind when you're documenting the P.O.C. You're understanding what is the mental illness of those that are targeting somebody and seeking to psychologically torture them already. This is the intent. This is the purpose of the demon-possessed population, and that includes the government. And this is what you're looking at. This is psychotic behavior because they're all group stalking inside of this venue where the light source is present, and that's not the sun that's over this venue and at the same time remaining over me in Los Angeles.
Devices. All right, surrounding the venue. The fake sun is over the venue, filling the venue with what is impossible light activity, as I'm showing you on the grounds, and also touching with what is directed light. And I'm capturing this video.
All right, that's captured at what is 4:06 p.m. And so the analysis is also as follows. That's the same engineered light that you're witnessing moving around in the parking garage at Victoria Gardens, that's like I captured. That's the light activity you see appearing on my ceiling. Okay, that's the method of the same thing. That's the engineered light that is appearing, that is coexisting with group stalkers such as Universal Waste and Ryder, and third-party group stalkers such as Center for Better Life, and Gabriel Arriaga Carbajal, who are doing nothing other than driving vehicles, and engineered light is moving all across an apartment building, creating a whole light show. That's what's occurring. It's the same pattern of conduct with this engineered light. It's a method of targeting. This is how group stalking is underway. And the entity is doing so via communication devices. The entity that is indeed engaged in group stalking, which is keeping you under surveillance. It's criminal surveillance by the government. They're also engaged in federal stalking in violation of Title 18. So I want to make sure that you again remember this is the well-documented pattern of conduct. And as I showed yesterday, just to give you a big picture analysis, this is a well-documented pattern of conduct of stalking via light. And the entity is doing this with regard to, let me see. Oh, this is pictures. 1 second. That's a good video. That's a good video for you to see. I could show you that one, but let me see. 2000. Here we go. This is the entity of group stalking with light. Okay, this is a systematic means of state surveillance, and this is indicative of what is a demon-possessed population. That is a phenomenon that is never, ever naturally occurring. The sun that is above us, which, by the way, at 2:16 p.m., March 1st, 2021, before or after daylight savings time, it does not matter because the entity is keeping the light source over me from the beginning to the end of the day. All right, where the video documentation has already shown a sunrise and a sunset, daylight savings time is a fallacy, okay? This is not the natural environment, and you're also witnessing that because of this engineered light that's coexisting with what is crossing a path. Now, while I'm standing on a random street and this is occurring, that speaks to a system. Okay. And this light is appearing in the shade. This is what I'm subject to while I'm sitting inside of a building, and this flashing of light, which is occurring, it's at a distance from me, but it's causing an interruption while I'm on a computer. The entity, like I stated, was touching my face with that engineered light. This is what speaking to what is specific knowledge of my location. It's a phenomenon that light activity is ever even occurring in that way. And the fact that I'm capturing it by the multitudes in traffic is direct evidence of what is a state system. Okay. Now, when you're looking at this light activity, this is speaking to what is demonic activity and the demon possessed that are targeting someone. And then these demon possessed are sitting in libraries. They're living around you as though they're exercising, as though they're delivering a package, as though they're studying, reading a book in the library, as though they're just at a job, doing whatever it is that they call themselves doing. These demons are focused on everything. All noises that they make is centered on what the target individual does. All of their movement is centered on what the target individual does as they do it, where they're located at doing it, and with real-time knowledge. In the same way that as I made a physical movement in my bedroom and coexisting with that movement in my bedroom, the amplified audible activity of traffic. It's nothing other than a maintenance of noise. This is what the demons do with helicopter. This is what the demons do with all matter of sound, including even using the inanimate objects inside of my apartment. It's the same demonic pattern. This is speaking to what is a system that you're looking at. And this is light activity that the entity is suggesting is naturally going to occur. Nobody's going to entertain that in federal court. Nobody. Nobody's going to entertain that. That's what's happening inside of the Chino Branch Library, and the impossible light activity through traffic and the light source that's over that Chino Branch Library, not over any apartment in Los Angeles, which just so happens to be over my head at an apartment in Los Angeles, is occurring at the same time. Nor does traffic create any ricocheting light that's going to touch your face at a distance from that window. This is what the entity is doing, and the entity knows exactly where you're at. This is the entity that's a sex offender, a demon-possessed entity that is indeed group stalking in the path, and they're monitoring on communication devices. Okay, that's the P.O.C. It is currently 4:30 p.m. And again, on this day in 2022, on the exact same day, I am nowhere near Los Angeles. I go from Ontario to the Chino Branch Library. I actually went to Upland in the morning, and I captured very good video documentation of what is also impossible light through traffic. Speaking to the fact that it's an impossible occurrence, sun is never going to ricochet off of your black Tesla, your black rims. It doesn't matter what color, whether you're driving a dark brown UPS truck. It doesn't matter whether you're driving a white or a silver vehicle under the sun. It does not create a stream flow of light that's coexisting with your movement past any person, let alone the targeted individual. That is the pattern of maintaining presence in the path with the engineered light, which is what demons do who are group stalking. That's why engineered light is on my ceiling. That's why engineered light is moving across my bedspread in my bedroom. That's why you have the impossible occurrence of the so-called sun. That's not the sun. That's the light source that's here all day long. And I'm also capturing down to the same day and minute the light source that's in an entirely different region, and the two are not happening at the same time at any time of year. It's the P.O.C. It is the criminalization of demonic activity. Again, it is currently May 12th, 2024. You're going to pay attention to the documentation that's already published. The video that I captured specifically I'm not going to review it now. You can review it yourself. It's published at 9:36 in the morning. And 9:36 in the morning, let me just speak to something. I'm sorry. I said I wasn't going to review this, but I need you to look at something. This is the library where I was at 4:05 in the afternoon on May 11, 2024. And the light source is remaining directly over me at this same address, okay? And I'm there at 9:30. So let's count 10, 11, 12, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 7 hours. And the entity is suggesting that that's the sun that's over that same address at 4:05 in the afternoon. Because if it was over the Upland Public Library yesterday at 4:05 in the afternoon in 2022, then on May 12th at 4:05 in the afternoon, that should be the same position of that light source. And if that's the case, as I'm looking at it over my head at 4:05 p.m. on May 11, 2022, it's not going to be over my head in that same zenith position while I'm at the Chino Branch Library in Chino, California. And under no circumstances is it going to be over my head in that same position, let alone from the beginning to the end of the day in Los Angeles while I'm inside of the same apartment. None of that is creating the light activity above my head on my ceiling, nor creating the leaves on trees blowing through the magnification of light while the blinds are closed. That's the pattern of conduct. That's the pattern of conduct, okay? This is the criminalization of demonic activity. It is currently 4:32 p.m. on what is Sunday, May 12, 2022, and this is P.O.C.